I will give the floor to Secretary General for his report. The floor is yours, sir.
Thank you very much, Madam President. I have distributed a written report a week ago, so I will limit myself to a few remarks and allow also for some questions or comments. But let me start with saying a big thank you to Eddie Fry and to Canada. Eddie, thank you very much for hosting us here. We have worked on this project since 2019, hoping that this would happen in 2020. Unfortunately, COVID got in the way. But thank you very much for hosting us here. Thank you very much for hosting in your city. Eddie, you are an iconic person in this Parliamentary Assembly with your fight for gender. I must say you have been an iconic person who has produced a lot of results and concrete results. During my tenure as Secretary General, I've served two presidents, female presidents. I think this is also the result of your work. We've had a gender-balanced bureau for a while. We've had gender-balanced election observation missions leadership, thanks to the appointment made by the President. We have a gender-balanced staff at the Secretariat. I think a lot of your historical battle in this Parliamentary Assembly have been met with a big success. So thank you very much, Eddie, for hosting us here, and good congratulations. We are in the city of Vancouver. We normally talk about this organization as an organization that stretches from Vancouver to Vladivostok. And some of us have been to Vladivostok. I don't know how many of you have also observed the election in Vladivostok. I've been privileged to be in Vladivostok as well. So I have now seen the stretch of this organization. I've served this organization for many years. And I must say that being here, it's also important in this historical moment to underline the vastity of our region. This is a very vast region that deals with a very important issue like security from a three-dimensional point of view, but it's a region that is very diverse, and it was meant to be diverse from its founding fathers. We have many countries in this organization who are not like-minded, who have in 75 committed to some values, and unfortunately during the last years have violated these values, and of course need to be sanctioned. But it's a very vast organization. It's not an organization of regional groupings. Is an organization of 57 participating states, all of them with their own rights, all of them in this body, the Standing Committee, with the voting rights. So all of them count for one in this body. Of course, in the plenary, they count with the political majority, and I will get to the point made by Vilja in terms of how we can also politically respond to the challenges we have. It's been touched by you, Madam President, in your report and by others. Indeed, the OSCE is in a very difficult situation. This organization, for the last years, the organization, not the Parliamentary Assembly, but the organization as such, has not had a budget approved, has also seen mandate of field operations being curbed and not renewed. By the end of this year, there is a very big challenge for the organization because the mandates of the Secretary General of the OSCE, the mandates of the Director of the ODIHR, the High Commissioner for National Minorities, and the representative of the media are expiring. And in order to renew those mandates, you need consensus. And of course, when you play by the consensus rule, there can always be one country or two who can spoil the game. And unfortunately, there is more than one country who is spoiling the game and not allowing the organization to survive. So we have indeed a big challenge in the organization as such. But the good news is that the Parliamentary Assembly is very much alive. You mentioned, Madam President, that even by consensus today we've passed an important tool, the most important political tool, I would say, the budget. And we have managed to be remaining very active in the Parliamentary Assembly. And why is that? Why we are so healthy? We are so healthy because, of course, we have the participation, the enthusiasm, the leadership of politicians, but also because we have a great asset in this Parliamentary Assembly, which is the fact that we vote by majority. In this assembly, and now you will start this afternoon in the plenaries, in the committees, we simply vote by majority. So we can make political statements, we can make anything by voting by majority. And I think this is an asset which we should never give up. We should make sure that all our positions, all our political opinions, our resolutions are highlighted and are brought forward also in the greater public because they are important. They are made by politicians who represent 1 billion citizens, and they can be made without anyone blocking them. So this is the great thing. On the Russia dossier, I mentioned this in Vienna, on the Ukrainian dossier, I would say. Since 2014, this assembly has been having an impeccable track record on its political moves. Senator Benkardin is here. In 2014, he authored a resolution called Clear, Gross, Uncorrected Violation of the Helsinki Final Act by naming the country who has done those violations. And repeating, the Assembly has adopted every year, recalling that resolution of Senator Benkardin, and every year has, by majority, voted on the resolution. This is the biggest asset we can offer. The governmental side of the OSCE, since 2002, so in the last 21 years, has never managed to have a political declaration, because they vote by consensus. And so always there's been a country or two who have blocked. So the governmental side, since 2002, doesn't pass any ministerial political declaration, while this assembly, until today, and I'm sure on the 4th of July, will pass plenty of resolutions, 15 supplementary items that today you have sent forward to the plenaries and the committees. So we'll pass political documents, which shows that the parliamentarians and the organization is very much alive. So we have a governmental side blocked from a political and administrative point of view, in a parliamentary side, very much alive, and also from an administrative point of view, very much alive. You just passed the budget, you've passed a resolution also to have a little bit more of an additional business performance audit, also to increase scrutiny of the work of the administrative bodies. So these are very good signs that shows that the Assembly is successful. And it's finishing. Sure, we have time. I would like to congratulate all the parliamentarians for the work that they've done so far, and try to not to forget that this is our biggest asset. Today marks, we have 4 more days to the 4th of July, and I would say the 4th of July, Independence Day, also marks symbolically the end of a very difficult period for this assembly. I think from COVID time, with the war also waged by the Russian Federation in Ukraine, we've gone through very, very difficult couple of years. It's been difficult. I've seen also in the relations between parliamentarians, in the relations between the administrative structure of the organization, sometimes the leadership, some challenges. I hope that from the 4th of July, we enter into a new era where politics is at the center, where we focus on the political priorities, and where we also kind of de-emotionalize a little bit the challenges we've had in the last period. Some of you are also members for a long time, and you've seen different areas in this parliamentary assembly. There's always been a kind of, I would call it a family spirit within the OSCE Parliamentary Assembly. Parliamentarians have always been very friendly with each other, outside the official meeting rooms, have interacted with each other, also in very difficult times. I mean, it's not that only from the 24th of February 22 we've been in difficult times. We've been in difficult times also before. But the relations between parliamentarians were also in a sort of camaraderie, let's say. You know. But I sense in this last period also a little bit more of tensions, divisions, and I hope that the new leadership that is coming and are going to have responsibilities from the 4th of July will also try to bring a little bit of more, you know, like diffusing tensions, de-emotionalizing a bit the relations, and focused on the political priorities. And I think we have, unfortunately, big political priorities ahead of us, and we have to really focus on those. On the budget, I can only say thank you very much. It's been indeed a very interesting debate. It's never happened before that we had so many questions on the budget. I'd like to thank Peter for your work that you've done on the budget, really to go to the nitty-gritty of all the budget accounts that we have. I am happy that the auditor last February released a very positive result on the financial health of our organization, and I'm very confident that the same audit also next February will come up with the same result. And the last word of thanks to the staff of the Parliamentary Assembly. It's been mentioned by many of you. The staff is the backbone of this organization. All of this happens because Gustavo and his team manages to come here earlier, set it up. All my colleagues here on the stage or behind the stage make sure that everything runs on time. So a big kudo and thank you for my colleagues who have done this work, as it's been mentioned by some of you, also sometimes in very difficult financial situations. Their conditions of employment are not the same as their colleagues in the UN or in the OSCE. Hopefully, with the new treasurer, we will try to strive, I don't know if from the first year, but we will try to also make a plan for the next 3-4 years to kind of also bring the conditions of employment of our staff at the same professional level as those of the UN and the OSCE. Thank you, Madam President.
Thank you, Mr. Secretary General.